So just to provide a little background on the program, in June 2012, the Flinn Foundation, excuse me one sec. In June 2012, the Flinn Foundation Board approved the Bioscience Entrepreneurship Program, an initiative to address one of the four main strategies of the Arizona Bioscience Roadmap to develop a critical mass of bioscience firms in Arizona. The roadmap is the long-term plan to make the state's bioscience sector globally competitive. It was commissioned by the Flinn Foundation and developed by Battelle, a national technology consulting firm, in conjunction with statewide science and business leaders. And you will see that this lines up well with the AZ Bio goal to put Arizona in the top 10 competitively across the country. So we're making great progress, but we have a lot of work continuing to do. How much progress has been made in the area since the roadmap was created now in its 20th year? It was in 2002. As I mentioned, a lot of work needs to be done. And a lot of work needs to be done to help our early stage companies build out into thriving businesses. To date, the Flinn, through its program, has selected 54 firms. We've witnessed some outstanding progress by firms, including 3 really good exits, millions of dollars in venture capital and awards, and so much more. We have had, as nothing in life is so certain, we have had 5 of the firms, of those 54 firms, actually fold. But that is a pretty good hit rate. And while the funding support is obviously valuable, all 54 firms felt that the connections they made through this program were invaluable. And really, that is the key. The money, it's $30,000. It's not huge, but it's valuable. But it's really the connections you can make through programs like this, like the Flinn program, but others, that are really the key to sort of that longer term success. So we're looking forward to the 2023 program. I'm going to turn it over to Juliet. She'll run through the application process. Keith will have some words just on the process and his experience of how this program has run. And also Joan, I think Joan, if you have some words as well, just as AZ Bio will be the administrator of the grants for the awardees. So Juliet, you want to take it away?
Okay, great, thank you. First, if you have any questions all along the process, you can email me at jgomez@flinn.org. All pertinent questions will be added to the FAQs found on our website. As you may know, all of the information about the program may be found at www.flinn.org/entrepreneur. Now, firms selected for the program will receive funding support and a personalized year-long plan to support individual firms' specific needs, helping them navigate challenges and empowering them to become investor ready. Up to 6 grants of $30,000 apiece will be awarded to our nonprofit partner, AZ Bio, to administer to the firms. We'll talk more about this in a moment. You may have read about the additional benefits in the flyer found on our website, but let me take a minute to highlight the benefits for you. You'll receive a year's membership in Arizona's Bioscience Roadmap Steering Committee. This is an organization consisting of the state's top bioscience leaders. A full company assessment and year-long mentorship by an advisor experienced in the commercialization, leadership, and investment of bioscience companies. A 1-year membership with AZ Bio, the trade association representing bioscience companies. Referrals to programs, resources, and advisors to help the firm on the path to commercialization, including supportive professional development funding, in addition to the $30,000. This can be used for registration, subscriptions, training programs, and related fees as warranted. Opportunities to attend invitation-only bioscience-related events and networking events and convening opportunities with fellow bioscience entrepreneurs. Now, to apply for the program, just go to the entrepreneurship program page on our website, and there will be a link to the online application. Once you have registered on the site, you may begin the application. There is also an area where you can invite others from your firm or team to have access to the application as well. You can edit your application anytime until the deadline at 5 p.m. on November 7th, even after you have submitted it. If you have submitted it and want to edit, just go to the section you want to edit, click on the 3 dots in the upper right of that section and hit edit. You can also download the application and all of the materials you submitted. Now, again, I will be your contact. So if you have any questions about the program or process, you'll find my contact information listed everywhere. Now, to be eligible to apply for the program, the early stage firm must be a bioscience firm engaged in the commercialization of bioscience research and biotechnology and/or the sale of products in the areas of medical devices, equipment and technologies, drugs, pharmaceuticals and diagnostics, agricultural feedstock and chemicals, research, testing in medical labs, or bioscience-related distribution. Your firm cannot have been selected as a participant for the program in previous years. However, if you started a new company, you are eligible to apply. Now, if you're not sure if your early stage firm meets this criteria, first call me. Ultimately, the review committee will make the eligibility determination in consultation with the Flinn Foundation. Your firm must be incorporated as an S Corp, LLC, or C Corp and based in Arizona. Now, if your business is not incorporated in Arizona, such as in Delaware, it needs to be registered as a foreign corporation with the state. And as long as the business is in good standing, you may apply for the program. You can find the simple form on the Arizona Corporation Commission's website. And later I'll also post the link in the chat right to the form. Whether registered here or anywhere out of state, the firm must be in good standing with the Arizona Corporation Commission. Your firm must be in pre or early revenue stage poised for eventual product sales, not just performing general research. Research-only projects will not qualify for the program. You must also clearly demonstrate that the proposed project supports a path to commercialization. Now, commercialization should be expected to be reached in a reasonable amount of time. As long as your firm can show progress along a path, the length of time it will take for the product commercialization generally will not be an issue, except in those situations where the reviewers believe that the timeline is so long that it is exceedingly difficult to ascertain the potential for commercialization. And we understand that healthcare and bioscience companies all take longer to commercialize than most other companies. So most times this is not an issue. Firms must also demonstrate that the principal or principals of the company have an adequate background to ensure completion of the proposal. You must also clearly identify in detail a proposed use of grant funds, including all matching funds to be utilized in completion of the proposed stage of development, and have a stated commitment to remain in Arizona. This year, we've made it easier to apply for the program. You will fill out the online application with your basic contact and company information, then upload a 2-page business plan or executive summary, your slide deck, and a letter of support from a nonprofit, public university, community college, or governmental organization with which you have a work affiliation, or an individual or organization that is sufficiently knowledgeable about your firm. However, this may not come from a member of your staff. Now, for both the pitch deck and the executive summary, I have put sample templates on the application form that you are welcome to use, but not required. Now, the pitch deck. We are requiring you to put your pitch deck in a specific order, as this will coincide with the scoring platform that the reviewers will use. We'd also like for you to keep the deck to 15 slides. The topics of the slides are as follows: company overview and purpose, the value proposition, your problem and solution, the product or service specifics, but please do not put any proprietary information in it. Your team and advisors, your market size, your competition, your, oh, I'm sorry, I went ahead there. Your customer feedback and validation, your intellectual property strategy, your regulatory strategy, manufacturing and scale-up strategy, business model and commercialization strategy, your financials, and that includes your pro forma, funding to date, seed round, investment highlights, a risk analysis, your detailed use of Flinn funds. Now, this can be in bullet form, and what else the review panel should know about your company. The foundation funding is intended to cover or offset certain types of expenditures. Many examples are listed on this website, or on the website and on this slide. The foundation may consider permitting other uses of funds if deemed appropriate in the context of the goals of the program and the nature of the firm's business. Funds cannot be used for salaries, benefits, or other compensation of the principals or applied toward prior debt. Now, we have two separate review committees, a 5-member application review committee and a 6-member interview committee. All committee members are individuals with appropriate knowledge of early stage firms and relevant experience. We have economic developers, researchers, investors, biotech consultants, entrepreneurs, and industry professionals. The committee does not include staff members of the Flinn Foundation. After evaluating the applications and the accompanying materials, the application committee will determine which firms should be invited to be interviewed. The interviews will be conducted on Zoom. The firms will give a 10-minute presentation, and then there will be up to a 15-minute question and answer period with the selection committee. We ask applicants to keep February 9th available on your calendars in case you are asked to interview with the committee. Based on the results of the interviews, the selection committee will recommend a list of firms for the president and CEO of the Flinn Foundation, Dr. Tammy McLeod, to consider for final selection for the program. We will notify those firms selected for the program, as well as AZ Bio, no later than Wednesday, February 22nd. Now, in order to assist you in completing your application and executive summary, we are providing you with the scoring rubric on our website that the application review committee will use when reviewing your application materials. We strongly encourage you to take a look at it to ensure you are providing all pertinent information. Now, because of our 501c3 status, the foundation cannot award grants directly to for-profit companies. That is why we partner with AZ Bio on this program. Flinn provides the grant awards to AZ Bio, which then administer the grant funds to the firms in the program on behalf of the foundation. AZ Bio forgoes charging any administrative or overhead expenses. This is to ensure that 100% of the funds benefit the recipient company. AZ Bio will submit a final report to the Flinn Foundation on each firm no later than 45 days after the end of the grant period. If selected for the program, you will be required to supply information to AZ Bio so that they can complete the report. The foundation will also require the selected firms to provide annual data through a simple online form for 5 years after their program year. This will allow us to compile metrics for the entrepreneurship program. Now, Joan Kruber-Walker, President and CEO of AZ Bio, is on the call. Joan, do you have anything else you'd like to add about the grant administration?
Thanks, Juliet, and thanks to everyone who is interested in participating in this program and going to be hopefully very successful in your applications. The main thing that I want to share with you is how important it is that you work with your mentors and with Juliet and I as you go through the program. Things change. It is the nature of entrepreneurship. And the goal is for all of us, is for you to be successful. So as we go through this process, we'll ask you, questions about changes, things that are happening. As a matter of fact, right now, the current cohort is sending in their midpoint reports so that they can tell us how they're doing and what they need. So that's how we go through the process. For those of you that are selected, we will set you up with ACH, and when you submit your invoices, we'll verify that they match your plan and then send them directly to your checking account. So good luck to all of you.
Thanks, Joan. The deadline for the application and all required materials is 5 p.m. on Monday, November 7th. Sorry. Please remember that you may update your application as many times as you'd like before the deadline on November 7th. If you have any questions regarding the program, application, the process, and eligibility, or if you are having technical issues with the application platform, email them to me. As appropriate, the responses will be posted to an online FAQ document on the Entrepreneurship Program website. All potential applicants will have the benefit of the information, of course, unless it's personal information. We won't put that on there. All questions except for those of a routine nature must be received at least 7 days prior to the application deadline. Now, as we mentioned, Keith Stoneback is on the call as well, and Keith has been a reviewer for many years for our entrepreneurship program. So Keith, as a reviewer, do you have any advice to give our applicants?
Well, happy to answer any questions. First of all, Mary, thank you for the really generous introduction. I have to say also, one of the first slides I saw on this presentation was all of the companies that have participated in this program over the years have brought back a lot of good memories, and I'm starting to realize how old I am actually. Yeah, as Juliet said, there's two stages in this process. One is the initial, if you will, review stage, and then the selection committee actually picks up to 10 recommendations to actually go for the decision at the Flinn Foundation. And so I think probably the most important thing I would recommend that you do as an applicant is go to the scoring rubric that Juliet had indicated gets shared with you guys, because that is the exact rubric that we use to grade each one of the applicants, first for the review and then second for the ultimate selection. It's the same rubric, same questions, same grading. So everybody kind of gets graded on the same, if you will, well, on the same rubric and on the same selection criteria. So do pay attention to that, because that's what will generate your grade and ultimately the decision on whether or not you proceed. Yeah, do you have are there any questions for me that I could answer that you might have based on the actual selection process? Cool.
Feel free to speak up. You're welcome to do
Yeah,
it.
there has to be a question out there.
I know that one question I get all the time is how many people apply for the program, or how many companies apply. And I think the most we've had apply were 35 1 year. So you whittle that down, we're going to take about 12 companies for the interviews. So basically, if you get to the interviews, you've got a 50-50 chance of getting into the program. So the odds are actually pretty good.
Yeah, one other comment I'd like to make, and that this is a relatively new, Juliet, I think it's maybe 2 or 3 years now. The program has changed a little bit, and I think actually improved in the sense that I think 3 years ago you started to actually assign mentors to the individual awardees. So now, if you're awarded this Flinn, if you will, award, not only do you get the money, but you also get assigned a mentor with so many hours for the next 12-month period of time and agreed upon deliverables. And so there's more value add there than there used to be, I believe. And they do a really good job. Flinn does a really good job of trying to identify, really the best mentor-mentee connection for you and your organization.
And Keith, someone has asked us any general insights on what successful applicants do better than unsuccessful ones?
Well, each one of I think each one of the reviewers and graders probably has a little different bias in the sense that what they look for. I can only tell you that I tend to gravitate really heavily to the value proposition hypothesis, and that is how important is the value proposition? Is it a logical approach? Is there validation or soon to be validation? So to me it's all around kind of the value proposition, how strong that hypothesis actually is. Others may have a different, and each one of these reviewers has a little different lens that they look at these things through. There's medical doctors, there's researchers, there's all types of different backgrounds on the review and selection committee. So I suspect that each one has a little bit different, if you will, bias, but mine tends to be very, very oriented towards the value proposition. All of the natural things that you want to see, good grammar and actually succinctness of the application, all those things are important. But like I said, I tend to look to the value proposition as the main thing.
Okay. We did have a question from the registration the registrations, and it says, what are the terms for grant awards are specifically intellectual property and future revenues should the supported work and research lead to commercialization. The Flinn Foundation takes nothing. We are giving you non-dilutive funding, and our goal is to help you succeed. So the only thing we're doing is helping you with resources, a little bit of funding, connections, and I will tell you now that whether you get in the program or not, please use me as a resource, because I'm here to help all on what we could refer to as biopreneurs, bioscience entrepreneurs, as well as Joan Herber-Walker is always a huge resource for the bioscience community. So know that Flynn's not taking anything. All we're doing is helping you. And then we have a question, where can we find the outline for the 15-slide pitch deck? I can't find it on the website. It will actually be on the application. So if you go to the application in the, I believe it's called submissions part, you'll see the list of the slides that are needed for your pitch deck. And then, considering most companies are software platforms, therapeutics, medical devices, what would a startup CRO be eligible to apply? Mary, you want to take that? Or,
Well, what I would say there is, William, I would say that it really depends on what your value proposition is. Yeah, so we're looking at companies across the biospace. So really, it's more how you build out the value proposition. And again, you know, there's that, and I think early in our conversation, you mentioned that what you're thinking of is spinning out an idea from a company that has been established for a period of time. So it's really, you know, it's how you're packaging this new venture or this new company. And I would make one or two other comments, just as Juliet was speaking, just to remember that there's value in applying because feedback is given. So here you have approximately 11 people who are going to look at your proposals or your pitch decks, who are going to provide feedback. So personally, I think that in itself is valuable. So,
yeah.
you know, everyone has to do a pitch deck. It's just a standard thing you use throughout your career as an entrepreneur. So get it in and let people help you refine it. So even if you feel you're early, and then the stage of a company, again, when you look at a pitch deck and say 15 slides, somebody's saying to me, I need to have a solid, I need to have gotten funding already, et cetera. It can be a little sort of go, well, I haven't, so I'm not going to apply. You know, we're obviously looking at early stage companies, and early can be, a broader term. So do not be deterred, get in, get your stuff in, again, get started and let people review and help you and move on to the next step. So that's one thing.
Yeah, and I have to say that I tell people, if you don't make it in the first time, please try again. We have had companies apply 3 times and get in on their 3rd time.
Yeah.
And we see progress all along the way. And so please don't give up after the first time. Though we have small numbers of applicants and not huge numbers, they're all very good. And let me tell you, every year I say I'm glad I'm not on the selection committee, because it would be too difficult to pick, because there's so many good ones. So so there. And again, if you're not sure about whether you qualify or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk it through and do whatever I can to help. And as Mary said, I'm able to look at your pitch decks, your executive summaries, everything. As we also mentioned, there's no Flinn staff on the selection committee, so we can, I'm basically Switzerland. I can look at everything and help you along to make it the best it can be. So there we go. Can you elaborate a little more on the letter of support from the affiliated university, et cetera, and what that should entail? Keith, you want to do that, or Mary?
Yeah.
Well, again, I tend to have a bias here. I'm sure, each one of the committee members does, but if you go back to this value proposition idea, that I would probably weigh, I'm sorry, I definitely weigh support letters from potential customers that are actually going to buy your product or service, probably the highest of any that you could receive. And so, colleagues are one thing, customers are another, suppliers are one thing, customers are another. The people that are actually buying your product or service, I tend to weigh their letters of support, I think, with more weight than the alternatives.
I'd also like to ask Anita Bell, if you're available, Anita. Anita is also one of our review committee members, and as the director of the UA Center for Innovation, has actually written some in the past. And so, Anita, do you want to talk just a little bit about the letters of support?
Hi, Juliet. Sorry, I'm in the car. That's why I've been on mute and on the
That's okay.
of the thing. But what I think you said is about the letter of support.
Right.
So yeah, we as Juliet mentioned, I manage the University of Arizona Center for Innovation. We are a business incubator that serves most of the Southern Arizona market, but also we have nationwide entrepreneurs in our program. So I'm very used to writing letters of support. So if you are not sure what to put in that, but you know somebody that you would like it from, you can just ask if they have anything that they typically write. Often I want to know more about the company just so I understand what their goals are. And then, like I said, I write them all the time for the Flinn Foundation support, for SBIR support, those kinds of things. So if you are dealing with a university with like the tech transfer office, they typically have, some words that they typically use. But to Keith's point, if you have someone that says, oh yeah, I'm totally interested in buying this, that has a lot more weight than someone from my organization as an incubator, because we wouldn't be buying your product, but rather we would say, we think you're a dedicated entrepreneur and we see potential in you to do that, which has lesser weight than somebody saying, you want to buy it. But nonetheless, we can write letters of support. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. It's just find the most influential group that will have the highest level of impact on the business that you're developing. Yeah. And again, it is the customer in the end of the day who's going to pay. You actually pay for your product and validate it through that transaction. So, but if it's early and you need somebody else, find somebody in the community, really somebody in economic development who you are connected with, who can sort of advocate for the strength of the idea and the work that you've done to date.
Great. And we have a question. Would you share the slide deck with the group? I certainly will. I will send that out right after this Zoom session is over. Anyone else?
Can I ask really quickly, because I'm looking at all the boxes on the screen here. If people are interested, could they just unmute and just tell us what company they're with, or what? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, sure. Sure, Mary. Martin Fuchs with Medfora.
Hi, Martin. Martin, what does your company do?
So we're a spin-out from UA, and we're developing a diagnostic technology that is based on analyzing metabolites in the blood and using that to detect a pretty broad range of chronic diseases. And part of the power of it is the ability to find these diseases very early in their progression, so that that would enable the patient to get the treatment at very early stages.
Okay, that's great, Martin. Thank you. Anybody else willing to share? It's just to give people a sense of the breadth, and really what we're looking for too is a breadth of technologies or ideas, across what is a very interesting space, I think, for all of us. But
I guess I could hop in. Oh, do you want to go first?
John, you can go first and I'll follow you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm John Patterson. I work for a company called Hulis Performance Technologies. We actually were kind of a startup that spun out of ASU a few years ago, and we're basically building neurotechnologies for vagus nerve stimulation and it being used in the treatment of basically situational anxiety and just overall like mental health wellness. And our products are like electrical vagus nerve stimulators, so direct application, topically applied. And they're sort of in the crossover between wellness and medical space. And we're pretty much early in we're actually selling product right now. We're basically just looking to scale up, start building some production infrastructure and get off the ground as a full-size company.
That's great. Thank you, John.
Perfect. I can go next. So I'm Ayushi. I'm co-founder, CEO of Sensen. We're a brain health screening platform for things like concussions, seizures, and psychiatric disorders. So we have a handheld solution where now doctors and sports trainers can have data within 5 minutes rather than waiting 4 to 48 hours, which is the standard. We're also an early stage company. We're looking to work with many partners in Arizona, which gets me very excited about the opportunity at Flinn Foundation. We have a platform. We completed a 20-subject study in emergency departments earlier this year and about 1 year away from our FDA 510(k).
That's great.
Thank you, Ayushi. Anybody else?
I'd be happy to share. Okay, so hi, my name is Emma. My PI and I just recently incorporated into a company that we're calling Gila Bio. We're in the very early stages of developing a real-time fluorescence assay to aid in hit-to-lead drug development with the idea of first creating a reliable assay for neuroinflammation in a model of HMC3 cells. So I'm excited for some resources that might help in the research and scale up part of our development.
Thanks, Emma. That's cool. That's great. Okay, guys, any more questions before we wrap up?
And if not, again, feel free to email me, jgomez@flinn.org.
Okay.
I have a final,
Sure.
clarifying question about this letter. So when you first mentioned it, I hadn't heard about it before from perusing the website, and it sounded like it was a letter of support for time and resources to help develop the project, but it seems like that's not the case. Is this like a validity of concept, or more like what should be included? Do you have an example that I could see?
Yeah, we can craft up an example for you, but really it is maybe going back to what Keith said. It's something who can actually validate your product, your company for you. You know, somebody outside the company who can say, you know, this is a good idea, this is a good team, they're on the right path. And obviously, if you already have a customer to, you know, obviously they're the best. You know, they're the highest up the totem pole with regards to the weight such a letter would carry, because they're actually buying and see value in purchasing your. But it's again, if you're super early, it's more who's outside your circle who can sort of validate that what you're doing is actually a good idea.
Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification.
So I guess I was a bit surprised to hear that you effectively score the letter of support.
No, do we score the letter of support?
No.
I mean,
no.
It's just I guess an additional thing to lend more credibility in that small sort of way of your product, your company, the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But all letters of support are not created equal. From
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, and I think Martin, like, you know, I think it's like anything, you know, we get a letter and you'd say, well, which one makes me feel the most confident that X is going to happen? You know, I think it's a gut reaction to which one would make you feel the better. What we score is the pitch deck.
Yeah.
And again, the conciseness and sort of the way, I don't even think the executive summary we don't score, but yet, you know, these peripheral items are important for just building out a sense of sort of, this is a solid idea, solid group. We're moving down a good path that is likely to see success at some point in time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and
I
this
was,
slide, go ahead.
but yeah, I just wanted to jump in real quick also. My name's Ryan Peters. I'm actually the co-founder. I'm misrepresented. Andy's the CEO and founder of the patient company. But what we do is we have a medical device that automatically laterally moves patients. So that's a big deal in acute care settings with all the musculoskeletal injuries and the short, staff and stuff like that. So, we would probably be looking for, kind of network, I think, value out of this opportunity. Maybe some introductions, something like that, I think would be of probably the most interest. We're going to market, just to let the group know, we're going through FDA. We're 510(k) exempt, so we're going through that process late this fall, and we're going to be in the market early 2023. So
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, if I could make a comment, I know your company, and I think that, as mentioned earlier, Mary, I think, said that, the financial award here is $30,000, which, is impactful, but perhaps not as impactful as other services that this Flinn program will provide for you. And one of those is the networking and the contacts that will benefit you, certainly in the Phoenix area, if not a broader area. And so I guarantee you will benefit from the network that will be exposed to you through this program if you're fortunate enough to win, guaranteed. Because I know your company and the types of things that can be done for you here locally.
appreciate that. Yeah, we're excited at the opportunity. Absolutely.
One thing I just want to say about the pitch deck. So this pitch deck, if you're invited to interview, will probably not be the same pitch deck you'll use for the interviews. This is basically your application. So where the pitch deck that you would have for an interview might not have as much detail in the slides because you're actually presenting it, you're not going to be there to voice the slides. So make sure that your slides do have enough of the detail in what you're trying to convey, so that it's not with the review committee going, huh? You just want to make sure that that it's kind of self-explanatory on those slides.
Yeah, and actually, I would say that's a very good point, Juliet. Just think of the context of this is, people are going to be reading this and have to get the information they need about your company from what they're reading. So it will have this should have more words than, let's say, a pitch deck when you're presenting, where you'd have taken out some of the peripheral words because you're going to say them. So I would just say one is a little bit more detailed words wise versus what would come later on when you're standing up to talk about it. Yeah. But then I see it. Kevin, you joined us. I didn't see you on screen. Any questions?
Oops,
You're on mute.
There we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sure can.
Awesome. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, based off of the pitch deck that we are submitting to Flinn Foundation up to the interview, I noticed that, it was told that with, the 15 slides, is that, strict,
Yes.
when it comes to the slide, what I'm thinking of as far as the, even with the introduction page, and then of course the ending page, but you still are within that 15 slide range of the pitch deck.
Yeah. If you go to 16 slides, the 16th slide won't be it's concisely within 15 slides. You tell your story. Yeah.
And I think the main thing, again, in going about the detail of the slides, is that you'll have an opportunity within your 10-minute presentation for the interview to show a lot more slides and to explain more. But this is the first committee that's going to hear you. So you want to make sure they get the information from those 15 slides.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a completely different committee that will listen to you for the interview and your presentation. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so I was just saying on my first slide was really just my title slide, and then my ending slide was my thank you. So
Yeah.
if I just wanted to make sure I was staying, being professional on that, and just saying hi and thank you. So, but yeah, I'll go ahead and just submit the 15 slide deck on that.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
assume that hello and thank you. So.
Yeah, and that, we take your point, Kevin, but in reality, if you were doing this, like, again, as you go through this over time, people will give you an opportunity for a 2-minute pitch and you'll be cut off. So this again is just really great practice. Tell your story in 15 slides and you'll have plenty of time, but it's being concise. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I think maybe that's the last question from Kevin. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Keith, Anita, Joan, for joining in. And as you go through this process, reach out to us if you need assistance. And if not, we look forward to seeing your applications.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Wow.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.